My guest today is Jamie Davis. He's a longtime runner and triathlete, but he's much more famous around here as the owner of the Charlotte Running Company. Over the years, he's given me tons of great advice and inspiration, so I thought, who better to be a guest on the channel? As a reminder, if you're enjoying my content, please give it a like and consider subscribing to the channel. You can ding the bell so you get notifications every time I post. Thanks a lot, and here we go. Hey everybody, good evening. I'm pleased tonight to be joined by Jamie Davis. He's not only an experienced runner, but he also happens to be the owner of two of Charlotte Running Company's locations in Northlake and in the Mooresville area of North Carolina. Every time I stop into the Charlotte Running Company to pick up a new pair of shoes, nutrition, anything along those lines, Jamie is always just an absolute wealth of knowledge, always very helpful. And I'm hoping through this interview, everybody watching gets just a taste of how helpful and wonderful a guy he is. So without further ado, everyone, please welcome Jamie Davis.
Thanks, Paul. I appreciate it.
I'm so happy you're here. I know we've been trying to get to this point for a couple of weeks now, looking for some free time in our schedule.
I know. I appreciate you sticking with me. Yeah, I've been I feel like I always have something that's popping up and keeping me from it. So.
Yeah, well, you know, especially these days, there's so much that's changed in people's lives that it's hard to kind of get your schedule together. Nothing's normal anymore.
Right.
Just tell me a little bit maybe about your athletic background and how you even got started running.
Yeah, I grew up in Charleston, West Virginia, and so I spent my youth playing kind of the only sports that were there. I was a baseball, basketball, football guy.
Gotcha.
It wasn't until I grew up later and met people and learned about other things like soccer and so on. But yeah, we played three sports all year round. It's always team kind of sports stuff. I didn't really get into running until after college. My daughter was born, and it's a pretty funny story. Actually, she had colic, which I didn't know what that was until one day at 4 months old, she started crying and didn't stop for about 4 months. So I started running. I started running to get some time alone and clear my head and think about the world. And I kind of started full bore in, and just started on my own, and about 6 months later did the Pittsburgh Marathon. So I was kind of hooked from the beginning.
Wow. So, wow, that's kind of a difficult, from what I know, that's kind of a hilly race. So
It is. Yeah, it's really, really cool. You know, I'm sure you know, there's always a trade-off between the hometown race and sleeping in your own bed and, you know, the neighborhoods that you know versus going somewhere. So, but yeah, definitely a hilly course, but really cool. You get to see all the boroughs and all of the ethnicity that Pittsburgh has and the uniqueness of it. But yeah, it's hilly, crosses a lot of bridges.
Wow. So, yeah, just to kind of, was that like, did you just jump in? Did you you started running and you went right after marathons, or was there like more of a progression, like through 5Ks, 10Ks, etc.?
I think I did a 10K and maybe a couple of 5Ks, but yeah, that was pretty much signed up for the goal. So yeah, I didn't know anything.
Wow. So you were all in right from the beginning then.
Right.
I gotcha. It's funny because, yeah, that's kind of the way I started. I ran one half marathon and I was like, all right, let's go for the big one. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Mine learned a lot of lessons too. All the things, you know, not to do or told not to do. I went out too fast and, you know, blew up at the end and discovered the wall at mile 22. And all the things that I can now tell people against. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure you hear that story a million times at the stores, but it's like every time somebody runs a marathon for the first time, I've never spoken to anybody that says, "Oh yeah, it went great the first time." You know?
Right. You can tell them and know, yeah, you have to do this and have to do this, but it's I think you gotta make mistakes once before you get it right.
Hopefully more than once, because I've made them plenty of times. What motivates you now? Like running, is it just something that you just do on the side, or, you know?
Certainly changed from kind of being more competitive to I think it's become more social for me now, to tell you the truth. It's slower paces, less distance, but probably just as often. Probably still run 4 days a week.
Oh, awesome.
But look as much forward to having the coffee and telling war stories afterwards as the miles there, that come in. So done. I don't know how I spent a career doing races and running and triathlon and stuff without doing a relay race, and then so I did my first Blue Ridge relay a couple years ago, and
Wow, okay.
And really enjoyed it. I mean the smells in the van and whatever notwithstanding, but the camaraderie of it all is just shared toughness. It was pretty cool. So we're doing the bourbon chase this year with a team of guys. So
Oh wow, where's that one? Is that
it runs through Kentucky. Yeah. So
okay.
I think I didn't look at all of them, but I know it runs through some of the distilleries and has some of the changing stations there or whatever. So just we'll be a middle to late back of the packer in it, our team wise, but still 12 guys.
Yeah, it's all about the fun anyway. Something like that is just an adventure.
Shared experience. Yeah, exactly. So I think it's really changed for me. You said we'll get into the retail part of it, and kind of one of the things when I got into this thought, man, I'm going to marry a passion for working out and being my own boss and stuff like that. And gosh, the truth of the matter is it takes up so much time that my own athletic career got put on the back burner.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I can only imagine. I did hear you mention just a couple of minutes back there that you participated in triathlons as well. So kind of talk about cross training that you do. Triathlons, is that a thing of the past? Do you still participate?
Yeah, it's been the thing of the past. It's been a few years. I guess it'll be it. I think that will come back to me. Yeah, so that's
Okay.
kind of transition from running into that, to just to spread out the wear and tear on your body. Truth, more than anything, and so it was good. Yeah, I didn't really know how to swim, and learned to like that part of it actually. So that's the part that needs to come back that I haven't done in a number of years. So I don't know, I guess at some point, now it's warm enough I could jump in the lake, but at some point they'll reopen pools and so on and so forth. But definitely been biking a lot, road biking. Have rediscovered a love for mountain biking.
Wow.
Went out with some friends a couple of months ago. Well, yeah, more time goes a little bit. Last year at one point in time, and had like a 20-year-old mountain bike, and was like, ooh, I need a new mountain bike. So got a new bike and use that. But being outside, being out in the woods is a rekindled kind of an old flame that I hadn't used in a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, you got more guts than I do. I kind of stick to my running, and swimming scares the heck out of me, and biking I'll do every once in a long while. But that's awesome.
I'm a little scared of the road and all the you hear about people getting hit all the time, and which is a shame. But mountain biking is, just like trail running, it's about twice as hard in the woods with the elevation and that kind of stuff. So
yeah, I can't imagine. Tell me about your history of racing personally. Do you have any particular favorites races that you participated in? Do you have PRs that you'd like to share?
I had to look back and think about that, but mine are nothing fancy, but like 1936 for a 5K, 336 marathon, and I guess I would say I'm most proud. I did one full Ironman, and just broke 12 hours. Had 11:58, which what I would call when we talked about the marathon and never getting it right, first Ironman was perfect. Every bit, every second from start to finish was perfect. Finished just on time, and decided that I could not do any better, and I could never have a more perfect day, and I'd hang up my shoes from that distance.
Oh, come on. That's the way to do it. Walk in, kill it, and leave.
Yeah. Still can't believe it, but yeah. So nothing. I mean, that would have been my favorite, I guess, my bucket list and thing that I would remember the most. Now, to tell you the truth, I work more races than I run, just from the business side of it, and being in the community and stuff like that. So I like the like I said, the social stuff now, the turkey trots and stuff like that, where people are showing up and doing it every year, and you see families and stuff like that. I find that to be really cool.
Gotcha. It sounds to me like you just answered my next question as far as what your future running goals are. It sounds like you're much more interested in the social side of things now, but do you plan to get back into competition at any point in the near future? Or?
Yeah, I think so. I've always kind of worked as a signing up for something, 9 months in advance or whatever it is, and using that as the real motivation to get up when the alarm goes off and stuff like that. So it's tough coming from something where you used to place from time to time and do things like that to go back and race. I think that's probably what's kept me out of it, of anything. So I'd like to get back into triathlons. So, but that's probably a 2-year goal, 1 year getting back in the shape I want to be in, and then year 2 kind of training to be competitive in it, as opposed to, changing my mindset around a little bit.
I gotcha. Yeah, that's something I struggle with myself, is just kind of when a big race is over, I always tell myself, okay, now all you got to do is just maintain. And then 3 months later, I've got 15, 20 pounds on. It's
hard to do. Yeah. I've always been driven by that kind of thing, and just I don't know, maybe it's once I pay the money, maybe that's the motivating factor.
I gotcha. I just kind of wanted to ask you a little bit more open-ended question regarding running, and that is, how has it changed your life?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably the most part, I would say, from just from the people that you meet, now I meet more than what I used to be when I had the job and just kind of trained and stuff like that. But it's the friendships, I would say, is really how it changed your life. The people that you meet, and still, I still stay in contact with, that, we don't live in the same cities anymore, but we have shared experiences of training together and sweating together and racing together and stuff like that. Those are things you can't replicate, with others, or really, explain to somebody, on a 100-mile bike ride, or 2-hour run, or whatever, pushing each other and about to puke and, whatever it is.
Like brothers in arms.
Yeah. So I think that's probably the thing that I would take most away from running.
Well, that's a really interesting perspective. You hear a lot of people talk about how, it's built their confidence and stuff like that. But it's really interesting to see how you approach running from such a social aspect. I mean, that's kind of like a theme that I see developing throughout this.
I didn't even think about it until you just said that back, because it certainly has those other aspects, and like I said, even starting and time by yourself and to clear your head, and when you're doing it, you come up with do some of my best work and come up with ideas, and come home and write them down. It's like keeping a pad by the nightstand or whatever. You solve a lot of the world's problems when you're by yourself for an hour.
Yeah, when it's just you and your own thoughts. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. All right. Well, I think this is a great jumping off point to kind of move in a new direction. Um, Tell me a little bit about how you became involved with running retail.
Yeah, kind of by accident. I spent my career in finance, working in big places. First on the investment side, and then switched sides of the phone to the sales side. But over
Gotcha.
20 years of doing that. Probably enjoyed it for 16 or 17, and last couple of years were a grind. Decided to try something different, and actually, quit and took a buyout when they were offering it, and took a couple of months trying to figure out what to do, and knew I wanted to do something for myself, but looked at a bunch of different businesses and all kinds of things, and wasn't even always fitness related, but kind of came with this one. I used to shop at our store at Promenade, where Donnie Forsyth is the owner, and
Okay.
used to swim with him. And so went over to his house one night and brought a 6-pack and sat around the fire and just said, "Hey, how'd you get into business for yourself? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Blah blah blah." And just learned from him as I did with some other people. And then about a month later, he just reached out to me and said, "Hey, we've got this store. We got a couple of owners, and we think you'd be a good addition if you
Oh,
haven't found something else to do. Why don't we get together and talk about it?" So,
very
um,
cool.
yeah. So that's really kind of backed into it more than anything. Now, I did have high hopes of, like I said before, let's marry your passion of running and your job, and
Yeah,
quickly
I mean,
learned, yeah, those two things don't always align with each other.
yeah, well, I mean, I gotta say, I mean, it sounds like you just kind of, the way you describe it is that you just kind of happened, kind of tripped into this, but
Yeah,
it, it's got to be more than that because in my experience, every single time over several years that I've been into your store, every single time you're in there, the enthusiasm and the happiness that radiates from you is
yeah,
just amazing. And, I just got to say, whether it was, sheer chance or not that you found your way into running retail, you come across as somebody who is like, handmade for this. So,
yeah. It was a definitely a people person. Definitely can talk for a while. Like to help each other. That was probably the thing that put itself over the edge. And I did look at some other fitness businesses and different things that had recurring revenue and kind of things like that. And retail's tough. I mean, there's competition everywhere, and so on and so forth. But yeah, I like it is extremely rewarding to meet and help people that are getting into this journey, and that are where I was 20 years ago, or where different people
mhm.
were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever it may be. It's that's the best part of the job.
That's awesome. I mean, in my small little way, I'm just starting this YouTube channel, and
Yeah,
I'm finding that is exactly where the joy comes from for me. Whether I meet somebody in person, but especially online, because I'm exposed to so many more people through
yeah,
the channel. And every time they say, I picked up this piece of advice from you or whatever, and thank you so much. It's just, man, it just fuels you. It just feels
yeah,
so good when you've done something to help somebody else along their journey.
yeah,
And that is also kind of a natural lead into the next question for you. As far as I'm concerned, a brick and mortar specialty running store is not nice to have, but I think is almost like bordering basically on essential as far as I'm concerned to getting a new runner set up properly.
yeah,
As far as, getting fitted for their first pair of shoes, getting familiar with everything that the sport has to offer as far as even races that are local
yeah,
and even all of the other peripheral gear and sort of being steered in the right direction so you don't waste time, energy, and end up hurting yourself, etc. Um, talk about that. Like, talk about your experience with helping new runners, especially.
Yeah, I mean that's big. I'll touch on two things that I find interesting. That first the new runner in particular, and it's like I said, where there's competition and all the kind of stuff. I'm not at all scared to have a store that is competing with Amazons and whoever else in the world, because what we offer you can't get anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
You come in, we can analyze your feet, we can analyze your gait, we can give you tips on running. We could put you in the right shoe. You could try on 8 kinds of shoes. The numbers are somewhere around, people that buy online shoes return 30 to 35% of them. That takes time and effort and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. And, we can eliminate all that. And like you said, we could help you with the peripheral gear. We could talk about nutrition. Most of the people that we hire and work for us, have some sort of running or athletic background, and they've done what you want to do, and they were where you were 5 years ago or whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
We can put you in contact with the best physical therapists and the best trainers and other people to run with and groups and stuff like that. And you just can't get that anywhere else. So I'm very bullish on our business and the future of our business, and what we provide into the community. And I think we'll be here for a long, long time, and continuing to be successful too.
Yeah, absolutely. There's nobody I meet that's new to running that doesn't immediately get steered towards you guys, because I know you guys are going to do a great job with making them far more likely to be dedicated long-term runners than if they were just kind of trying to figure it all out by themselves.
Yeah. You think, the biggest key to that, to that beginning is staying injury free, and if we could put you in the right pair of shoes and help you through that and tell you that you need to replace them after 400 miles, we can put you into a lifetime of fitness. And it's not just running. It's walking. When I said 2 things earlier, a big thing, we get a lot of people that come in and they're, there's a little trepidation. They come in, they're like, well, I'm not really a runner, and your name is Charlotte Running Company. The truth of the matter, it's about an even split between a third runners, a third kind of gym goers, and a third of people that are just standing on their feet, all day long.
Gotcha.
Retail workers, factory workers, or whatever, that are on concrete, nurses and doctors and stuff like that.
I was going to say, yeah.
They're huge, and I had no idea 5 years ago. I had no idea, but they are big part of our business.
I would imagine, yeah. Charlotte Running Company, the Mooresville location, I know from experience, is really deeply involved in sponsoring and organizing a lot of local races. How did you get started? Is that just the natural outgrowth of being a retail running store, or where does that come from?
Yeah, I would think it's a little bit. It's certainly ingrained in us. We have 3 owners of 5 stores. So I mentioned Donnie Forsyth before, that owns the Promenade store, and Scott Dvorak started this, the one in Dilworth 20 years ago. So this is actually our 20-year anniversary. Pre-COVID, we would have probably been setting up for our big 20-year anniversary celebration this June, but we'll have it. It'll just be pushed back a couple of months. But all 3 of us, we meet and talk about that stuff. And the one thing that we want to do is be number one in the community, and we do that by giving back and being involved in all that kind of stuff, and putting on races and sponsoring schools. And really, we really go after the youth kids too. From Let Me Run and Girls on the Run and Cross Country for Youth, Crazy Running, which is big up here. We're involved with all of them. We're trying to get them early and often, and figure if we can get them out there, we help U.S. health and obesity rates and so on and so forth. And just knowing, all the things that it can do for you, personally, that we try to get onto them young, but we continue at town. I should know the answer, but I think we sponsor over, close to 200 races.
I
Just
had
in this
no
area.
idea. I
Yeah,
had
yeah.
no
So,
idea. That's amazing.
yeah.
Tell me about, as far as race organizing goes, sponsorship and all that, amongst all those 200 plus, that number is going to blow my mind for a while. But do you have personal favorites amongst all those?
Yeah. Gosh, I would say probably my favorite one is our trail race in January out at the Whitewater Center. 4, 9, and 13 miles. It was the first trail race, and it's still put on by Charlotte Running Company. Now, the Whitewater Center does their own races and stuff now, but that was the first one in Charlotte that we brought, and is still very well attended. So that one's got a close place in my heart, I would say. And although I didn't go to it last year, I would say, for anybody in the area, certainly that the Around the Crown that just started last year was started by Brian Mister, and I don't know what the numbers were, but over 5,000 people last year. They've already, although it got COVIDed, first it got RNC'd out for the convention, or they changed the date, they moved it forward, and then it got COVIDed and moved it back. But that seems like that should be a bucket list for anybody that's near this area.
Yeah, it's funny because the very first interview I did on my channel was with a gentleman, a friend of mine named Michael Bartlett, and that was his second 10K, and he loved it. Absolutely loved the experience.
Yeah, I didn't do it, but I mean, it's a really cool. I can't imagine how that meeting went when he came up with that idea and went to the city planners and said, "I want to shut down the interstate that wraps around the city." Like,
yeah, that blows my mind.
That should never happen. But kudos to him. I think that's good. And like I said, I think it's actually interesting to see, since I do the Mooresville turkey trot and stuff like that. But the one in South Park, I think, is somewhere near 20,000 people.
No idea.
It has historically been the biggest race in Charlotte. Scott used to run it. I think he sold it.
Gotcha.
But stuff like that. The big ones around here. Hopefully, I know Tim Rhodes has worked real hard to make the Charlotte Marathon bigger, and hopefully that could take off. That would be nice. That would be nice for the city, and to get that to be a little bit bigger. I did it once. The same kind of thing. It's cool to see different parts of the city that you wouldn't see. Of course, I went and trained and ran it a couple times before the race, but still places where you and I wouldn't normally go running on a weekend. It's kind of cool to see those little parts and how they've grown and even changed from years ago. If you've ever been to Noda and what it looks like now,
just
like,
exploded that whole area.
It's ridiculous. And parts of the city have grown up and stuff like that. But that's what it needs. I've done rock and roll marathons in Arizona, New Orleans, San Diego, and the support on those things. It's nice to have a big crowd at mile 16 when things are going poorly.
Oh yeah, just when the pain is starting to set in.
It's nice to hear some music and see some cheering faces.
Yep. I don't want to get too dark and depressing here, but I've got to ask the question because just like all other retail and all other restaurants, COVID-19 hit, and it hit hard. How have you dealt with that?
It's easy to look back, now that we, reopened all stores full bore on May 9th and stuff like that. And it's been amazing. I think every single day since we've reopened, we've been busier than we were the day before. So, if anything to turn it around, take kind of a positive is, I don't know if it's qualifies as a running boom number 3 or whatever it would be in the course of history, but definitely, a boom of people getting out there. even when our doors were closed, the amount of conversations that we would have, I bet you I had 5 a day from people that were, can't go to my gym anymore, and I just started running, or I just started walking, or I did whatever. And a lot of people coming new to the sport and getting outside, and you go in your neighborhood and see people that you haven't ever seen before, or certainly haven't seen in a couple of years. And
Yep.
a lot of those people are new or coming back, and they need shoes to come in, So, so that's a real positive that's come out of it. I would say, we learned to do a lot of things that that we didn't have to do before. From doing, we were lucky to get our online store up and running in November, so before this hit.
Wow, great timing.
Yeah, just we talked about it for a while. It takes a long time to get 3 people to agree on what it looks like and how it's set up and stuff. And so yeah, we were fortunate to have it. And what had little trickles to it, just the faucet opened up when we had to shut the doors. And so delivering shoes or having curbside pickup, doing video kind of talks and fittings with customers. All of those things were something we never had to do, and we did them just to stay alive for the time being. For a couple of weeks, we were probably down 40% across all the stores, which is pretty amazing. It's not great, but it's a whole lot more than zero.
Oh, heck yeah.
And I just looked at it, not to get ready for this, but I was curious to look at it. Our stores are up year over year, even being shut down for a couple of, shut down for the in-store experience over 8 weeks basically.
Yeah.
We were off to such gangbusters at the beginning of the year. We've been doing so great since then. It's really outweighed it. And so I take away from that all the things that we learned to do and muscles we hadn't used before that we still do them. Some people still want to call on the phone and pick up their shoes at the curbside, and we'll do that. And some people still, want to order their shoes and have you deliver them by their house, and we'll do that with a smile too. It's just I do it at 8 o'clock at night now instead of I used to do it at noon.
Yeah. Seems like everybody's just kind of, they've had enough with the cabin fever. They just want to break out a little bit,
Yeah, and there's no question that we've seen that since we reopened our doors, that people come in and say, I can't sit at home anymore. I got to be out.
Yeah. And the good news is I've seen, people doing it responsibly. They're not just, out there just acting like nothing's changed. They're, everybody's got masks. Everybody's keeping their distance. So,
Yeah. So we put all those things in place to clean down and spray and wipe, and it's we've adapted. But like I said, I think we take away some of the things that we learned that we didn't have to, and they become additive to our business going forward.
Yeah, it just makes you stronger for the future.
Yeah.
Very cool. I'm so glad to hear that too, that things didn't completely bottom out, and you guys are just continuing to grow and finding new avenues for reaching customers. That's awesome.
Yeah. It was scary. It was scary for the first week or so. It was pretty scary, but I think it's a lot of people that knew us, and a lot of people that wanted to help, and wanted to make sure that we came out the other end. Were there to support us early and often. So that it's a really, really great feeling.
Yeah. Well, great for you. That just makes me happy. I mean, I just want to see you guys do better and better.
Yeah. Thank you.
So I think you kind of touched on this, but I'll just give you an opportunity to expand just in case. As the quarantine continues lifting, and it seems like, things are getting a little bit more under control, do you really see things like sort of returning to the old normal, or what are your observations as far as what the new normal is going to be going forward?
I think I do see stores returning to normal, although slowly. We limit the people in to 50% of capacity. So most times, we have to stop one or two people and they have to wait outside just for a minute until the person in front of them is there. But at least for now, what's cool about that is that nobody minds, because it's, I hate the new normal or whatever, but it's kind of what we're used to at the grocery store and so on and so forth. So, but I mean, my personal opinion would be we continue to lift restrictions and we continue to let more people in and stuff like that. So, I think our, at least small business, goes back to pretty much normal, with a little bit of a bump from some of the other stuff, from still the online stuff and delivery stuff that we didn't really have before. But I mean, I think it makes sense. I'd rather be in my store that I know is scrubbed down clean with 8 total people. It's a much more controlled environment. I think that part comes back a lot sooner than football games or concerts or
with the vast numbers of people sort of sweating on each other.
Big marathon. I mean, I know they moved dates in Boston and Chicago will come up. But what happens to those races? They can't have that same big crowd. It's just physically impossible. So
it'll be interesting to see if they try to just to invite fewer people and stage it out a little bit more, have more corrals and just kind of time them out a little further apart. And who knows what's going to happen, but
staggered start. But then I mean, how does that, then the people that are slower that start at the end, that takes your day in shutting down roads from 6 hours to 9, or whatever. But if you flip them, then you got to pass everybody, and then there's more people in one spot. So I'm glad I'm not in charge of those decisions. But I don't know how it works yet. But I can't. I think we're a year or so away from having a 40,000 person marathon.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, hopefully some of the smaller races will be able to get back to it a little faster. But
I would think so. Yeah, I mean, Charlotte Marathon ought to go out without a hitch, I would think.
Yeah. Tell me whether it's for yourself personally or for customers, what's some of your favorite gear that you'd like to tell people about right
now? It's a good question. Favorite gear. I'm big on hydration. Anything over an hour. I think it's amazing to meet people that don't think about that as they train for their first race, or again, if they don't get that advice in the beginning. So I think one of the big changes, like insulation, being in a water bottle or a vest or whatever, and keeping that water cold for 45 minutes on these 90 humidity days and stuff like that, I think is essential for stuff. One of the other changes we started to kind of do is to upgrade our nutrition and stuff too, to go for kind of more real food stuff. And we just brought in spring and Muir Energy, and trying to get things that are based on real foods, 8 ingredients or 6 ingredients or whatever it is. If you're going to be healthy and go out and do this, let's go healthy kind of all the way. I don't know. I mean, I run with a headlamp on, and try to be seen from a safety standpoint. But
that's a big one that a lot of people don't think about in the beginning.
I'm pretty shocked at the number of people we see that don't.
It's amazing. I've done a couple of videos just sort of about getting started running, and that's one of the things that I get the most comments on is, I never thought about a flashlight, or I never thought about running facing traffic. And it's like, oh my God, thank goodness you're still amongst us,
Yeah, right. You need to get onto that quick. And I think even headlamps, they've gone to where you can wear them around your chest, around your waist, or whatever. I find myself with a headlamp, it messes with my gait, a little bit, to try to look down. So to be able to move those things around, if it's on your hand or on your waist or whatever, seems more efficient and safer to me.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Very cool. Well, thank you for that. I'm just curious, do you have any hobbies outside of running?
um, phew. Besides running a business, that's a really just outdoors. We talked about it. Just being outdoors more than anything. Like I said, kind of mountain biking has been rekindled. My wife and I have started hiking together. We actually went on our anniversary on an overnight backpacking trip
How
up
cool
into
is
the
that?
woods last year, and we're looking to buy new backpacks and do that again. Start to do that more often. So yeah,
Nice.
I just like being outdoors, whatever way, shape, or form that is in is something that I like to do.
Gotcha. Cool. That's awesome. I just want to let you know, Jamie, how much I really appreciate your time, all the insight that you've provided. And I really want to encourage people to visit your stores, engage you in a conversation. I know everybody will come out better for having done so. But as far as online presence goes, what are some of the best ways that people can get in touch with you?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, we had just got lucky to get our online store up and running. So charlotterunning.com is our website that has our e-commerce on it. So that's there. We have our social media pages, Instagram and Facebook. I get it from some of the younger people that work. I don't know if I'm not hip enough to do Instagram as much, but I tend to do more Facebook because I'm more familiar with it. But
Gotcha.
we've got them both. Charlotte Running Company, Lake Norman, and Charlotte Running Company in North Lake. I have all 5 of our stores have their own individual social media pages. So
Oh, that's great.
yeah, so we try real hard to just stay in front of people and do reviews on stuff, to be informative. We'll throw a funny one in there from time to time, but we try to, we try to be a resource, more than anything.
Great. Well, yeah, I'll definitely include all of those links in the description for this video so that people are just a click away. But Jamie, thank you so much for doing this. I know, as I alluded to earlier, it's something we've been trying to schedule for a couple of weeks now, and you've been really patient. I'm just so glad that we finally had the opportunity to do this. And continued good luck to you. I only want to see you guys flourish. So thank you again.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I thank you for the patience to get me finally settled in here. So I'm glad we're able to do it, and it's been a pleasure for me. Yeah, I look forward to getting to talk to you and see what's next on your schedule.
Oh boy, yeah. I'm hoping I get to do a marathon this fall, but my fallback is going to be. If nothing happens this fall, then I'm going to be going after the Tobacco Road Marathon in March of 2021 again.
Okay.
So that's where I'm going. That's what I'm training towards. I'm sure everybody who watches my channel on any kind of regular basis is already sick of hearing me talk about that. But yeah, and I'm sure you'll be sick of hearing me talk about it as I come into the store more and more often to pick up all my gels and all that kind of fun. So
yeah, no. We'll be ready. We've been been restocking after not having ordered anything for a long time. So we're about back to 100% capacity, I think.
That's awesome. Cool. Yeah, I'll be in within the next couple of days to pick up my new sack of fun stuff. So,
yeah, sounds good.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thanks, Paul. I appreciate it, man.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Have a great night, and we'll talk again soon.
Okay, sounds good.